the #1 long-form writer that helps SEOs outrank competition at the click of a button using real-time research and NLP. Start ranking content today with content@scale.ai.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Hello, and thank you for having me. My name is Kapwom Dingis, and I'm here representing Symmetrical. I think there's a few of us at the back. And we're full-service digital marketing agency in London. And my talk today is going to be around semantic SEO and using it to improve rankings. About 4 weeks ago, I was at a restaurant, and a man came in, and it was obvious he was going to be trouble. He called over to the waiter. He says, "Hey, come over here." And the waiter came over, and he said, "I want you to go to the back, and I want you to tell the chef I want a cheeseburger. Not too burnt, but not too rare. I want it right in the groove. And while you're there, tell him I want some fries with that. Not too crispy, but not too soggy either. I want it right in the groove. And while you're there, tell him I want a milkshake with that. Not too thick, but not too thin. I want it right in the groove." So the waiter goes to the back, comes back out about 2 minutes later, says, "Look here, the chef told me to tell you, you can kiss his ass." Not to the right, but right. So the talk I'm going to be delivering today, if you're established in SEO and you've been in it for a while, a lot of the concepts you would have already understood and gone over previously. But I'm hoping by the end of the talk, it will get to the point where even the most experienced SEOs will at least have 1 or 2 things they can take away and begin to implement in their SEO strategy. So what's the agenda for today? Basically, to define semantic SEO so that we're all on the same page and in understanding what it is we're talking about. Historical look at the journey of semantic SEO. What are some of the things that happened during that journey of where we are today in terms of Google getting to this point? And then looking at best practices and common pitfalls to avoid, and what tools as well that help you get into that journey, which is a big one, understanding what kind of tools make your job a lot easier in the process. I have a mini case study as well, and then the workflow example is just a breakdown of tasks in terms of daily tasks, weekly, monthly, and also quarterly, so that you've got a process. And that's ultimately what I want everyone to understand, is get to a point where you have a process of where you are optimizing your content semantically and really getting Google to understand the quality content you're producing. And then the future of semantic SEO, we'll have a quick look at that, and ultimately the conclusion as well. So what is semantic SEO? Semantics basically refer to like meanings of words, right? But in terms of SEO, tying that into SEO, it's optimizing your content for a topic as opposed to single keyword or keyword. So as Dixon's talk kind of referred to, starting to look at things in terms of entities and not just specific keywords and phrases that you want to optimize for. Ultimately, you've got to remember Google is a service. They're trying to provide a certain service to users, and therefore, as you create your content, always have the intent or the user intent as your end goal, and you want to satisfy that user intent in the best way possible. So if you do, implement a lot of the recommendations we're going to go over, what you should begin to see, some of the benefits you should begin to see include ranking for more keywords and longer tail search terms. And one of the things I was going to talk about is, so 15 to 20% of searches that people make currently have never been made before. So there's a lot of opportunity in actually optimizing if you don't just look at keywords and search volume. It improves your EEAT score. So if you optimize semantically, you cover more topics and answer questions more so than if you are targeting specific keywords. The benefit of the E element is that you'll be seen as an expert by Google and also users, and therefore that trust factor in terms of making that purchase, buying from you, improves. You also provide users with a great experience. Again, it's Google's job to give their visitors a great experience. So that's a key thing. If you're doing that well, Google will also reward you. And then giving search engines context behind your content and increasing internal linking opportunities. This is quite a big one, actually, in terms of, I think sometimes as SEOs, we miss the opportunity in terms of internally linking correctly and really highlighting to search engines the importance of certain key pages. So I'm going to go fairly quickly through some of the algorithm updates that impacted semantic SEO. If anyone does have questions, catch me later on. So the knowledge graph, which again, my fellow speakers have already kind of gone over, but this was a big one. It's 2012. It's crazy to me how the fact that we're talking over a decade ago and how time has just really sped through. But the knowledge graph provides a database of information and answers for topics and entities. So again, you can kind of see that consistent, the word entities coming up and obviously becoming such an important part of future strategy as we move forward. So, we've already seen examples of the knowledge graph. And next we've got the Hummingbird update, which then began to focus more on the meaning of a query as opposed to individual search keywords. If anyone has been in SEO long enough, and I'll probably start showing my age a little bit here, you remember there was a time where you could just keyword stuff, and it actually worked. But we've gotten to a point where all the search engines, but especially Google, are smart enough to understand the context around the terms that although they're not perfect, because just the other day I was searching for fantasy football, and it brought up the American football results, which was pretty annoying. The next one worth sort of discussing and bringing up was the rank brain, so machine learning, so use of AI to kind of smarten Google, and it got feedback. So prior to this, it was all done like manually, basically, and this killed the one keyword for one page model. So yeah, going back to the old way of doing SEO. But again, this was a further development in the conversational style of content, and it's just further developed through MUM in 2021, which, as you would have noticed, at least I have, in the last 3-4 years, Google's gotten a lot better with like conversational searches, and I guess it will continue to develop further as we go on. And then Semantic SEO in 2023, so there's a few things here, including search generative experience. I'm sure everyone, or most of us, would be aware of that Google introduced this year. And alongside, the search generative experience, we also had introduction of AI. It's an explosion all around, which I find you can use to really help you in creating content that is semantically rich. But I don't think we're at a stage where you can allow it to write the content for you. Use it as a tool, basically, is what the best way of thinking about it. And then the other thing we're seeing more of is the personalization of results. As we go on, Google's kind of getting better at understanding, based on your location, based on maybe your history search and different other elements. it's personalizing results more often. So I don't know if any of you have ever done this, but maybe on a client call, you might even have made a search and asked them to do a search, and you get slightly different results. But this is a good thing, ultimately, as it personalizes things. Best practices. So some of the best practices I think worth discussing and mentioning is map out all the topics that you want to be seen as an expert in. So basically, if you have a website you're starting from scratch, or even if you have an established one and you haven't already done this, really take the time to just almost stand back and say, okay, what is it that all of our users, or visitors that we want to our website? What are the real questions, and what do they want answers to, basically? And then you can start to map out all the key topics that you need to cover, and you can start to go broader down the line, but you just want to have a key priorities listed. If you already have competitors, then suggest selecting 2 to 5 of those competitors. Get an understanding, especially the ones that are doing well in the space already. Take learnings from them and really start to see what topics do they cover, what answers are they providing for those as well. Run through some of the SEO tools. So basically with this, I'm talking about entering some of your competitors, for example, into some of the SEO tools that are out there. You can begin to see some of the top performing content, articles. You can also begin to see how broad that content. So, for example, I was doing some research a few weeks back and found that for a keyword that didn't have much volume, there was actually about 56 other keywords that one of our competitors actually ranked for. So you can begin to understand, okay, so I need to cover these topics, answer these questions, and begin to form your content. Then, you can start to create your keyword lists and phrases once you understand broadly what those key topics are. You can use phrases, synonyms, LSIs, which is latent semantic indexing. So, for example, if you were to have a site that covered weddings, for example, something that might not seem like an obvious correlation or direct correlation is that exercise. But someone who's planning a wedding might start to think, okay, I need to lose weight. And so, you're thinking beyond just those keywords and, starting to go beyond the obvious. Identify long-tail keywords. So, again, going back to the fact that don't get stuck on keywords with just volume. Almost every one of your competitors at this point is doing that. So you want to start getting to a point where, you're thinking of questions people are asking and answering those regardless of volume. Google autocomplete is a really good way to do that. So, for example, I put in white shirt and then just enter A. And then it will give you some recommendations of what people, have been searching. And actually have a couple of friends who've built niche websites, literally just focusing on that strategy, not worrying about search volume. So there's ways around, going the usual way. And then you want to cluster and group your keywords as well. Structuring content, again, learn from competitors, format your content, and think of going beyond what competitors are doing. So can you add videos? Can you add images, infographics, details that none of your competitors have? Internal linking, again, making sure that's done correctly and done well. AI tools as well to help speed up the process. Like I said, don't rely on them to actually write the content, but use them as a tool to help with that. Then build topic clusters on your site. So again, once you've, at that initial stage, grouped your key and prioritize your key topics, you then want to cluster them. So basically, you'll have multiple keywords and you can start to group them within the different clusters. And then, you might also want to identify the different funnels. So, for example, if you have a business that wants to make sales, you want to get to a point where you understand where the buyer keywords, basically, understanding the intent. And so you might want to prioritize those as you sort of map out the topics you're answering. And then review best performing sites and see what's required to be seen as an expert. What are they doing? So for their author pages, like, are they clearly mentioning what those expertise that they have is, what it might be? Are they linking out to their social media profile where further proof that they are experts in that field is? So learn from some of the best competitors there. And then internal linking and backlinks. Again, by covering topics, more questions will be covered. And then as you answer more questions, because you're not just focusing solely on maybe that one or first question people have, and are going beyond that, you'll have more opportunities to link out to other content. And then structured data. So for anyone that doesn't know, but this is basically, you have the ability to add code, and you can convey the context behind your content to Google in more detail, which both Tuhin and Dixon sort of covered as well. And for example, if you have an organization that sells products, for example, these are some of the structured data you might want to consider adding in. And then you can actually start connecting different entities as well. Google's quite gotten to a point where it's quite good at doing this anyway, but using the schema app, you can begin to, again, so if you have an organization that sells products, you can connect the organization schema to the product schema, and it'll be clear that that's what your business does. Common pitfalls, I haven't got too much time, so I'll go through these fairly quickly, but copy competitors too closely. So I've mentioned learning from competitors, but it's also important not to just literally copy them and do a copy and paste. What you want to do is make sure that you take the best practices from them, but you also actually want to ask yourself the question, how can I offer a better experience than my competitors? And if you start thinking like that, you start thinking of ways that you can benefit visitors more so than your competitors, and should be rewarded accordingly. Outdated information. If you're going to be seen as an expert in your field, if you've got outdated content in any way, that's going to be a big red flag, especially if you're in the your money, your life space. So you can imagine if you're giving medical advice that's actually outdated, that can be very catastrophic. Not showing expertise. So again, you might have the expertise, but if you're not clearly labeling it and letting your users know, and also Google and the search engines, then you're definitely missing a trick there. And we actually saw, just from adding links to author pages and correctly setting it up for one of our sites, a 33% uplift in the March core update. So it's really becoming important nowadays. Ignore long tail opportunities. I kind of covered this when I talked about answering questions regardless of search volume, making sure that you can use the autocomplete, and then using forums and Q&A sites. There might be questions that are only recently trending around your niche, or it might just be questions that you just didn't think about and don't come up in the when you're doing a search for search volume. And then not focusing on mobile. So 60 to 72% of online searches are now done via mobile. And Google itself, the mobile first indexing, which happened a few years back now, mean that you really want to make sure that you've optimized for mobile. Some recommended tools. One that people skip quite a lot is actually just looking at SERP, who's doing well, and getting a lot of data from that. So that's definitely one. If you're a bit more of an established website, you have an established website, I will use Google Search Console. One of the tricks that's worked really well for us included just taking a look at keywords that ranked, between 5 and 15, and just really focusing efforts on really optimizing for those pages and those keywords. And you can get some really good wins because Google already sees you as a fairly authoritative figure if they're ranking you in that range. Then, not to go into too much detail, but also ask and answer the public or some other tools. This is where search volume might not come into play, but there are questions around specific entities that you might want to get into. And then SERP Grouper, which is a symmetrical tool as well. We basically made our own tool, basically, which you can basically select, say, top 10 pages or top 10 results, and of those, if 8 results match, group these keywords together. And there's a lot more the tool does, but it's really useful in helping you identify intent. Mini case study, so quickly, again, we had a client come over to us and they asked us to optimize for graduate software tester. So some of the things that we did were look at different variations of the terms that still had the same intent, began to map out the content itself. Again, a lot of this is just going over what I kind of said, using tools like Ahrefs to identify some of the top pages, identifying internal keywords, and again, using SERP Grouper, sort of clustering and mapping out what all the relevant keywords were, and then key questions that we wanted answering. And then the each element, like I said, so important that we made sure to go over that. Just real quickly, so 98 ranking keywords are results from this, from 23. So previously it was ranking only for 23 keywords, went up to 98, and the impact on that was we were able to 4x the amount of traffic that was organic traffic going to that page. The client didn't want us to use their Google Analytics real data, but this is a screenshot from Ahrefs just kind of showing the impact. And so workflow examples, some of this I've already kind of covered, so I'll skip that, but what I've done is also broken down daily, weekly tasks, some of the things you can do there. Monthly tasks, I've just gone over time, so I'm going to go quickly over some of this. Quarterly tasks as well. And then future, again, we've covered SGE, conversational content focus, making sure we have that. And then really focusing on E as you go over the next few months. I think that's a really key one. Even with the Gen AI results in search generative experience, one of the things we noticed, then again, we did it around the legal space, but we noticed the sites that had the EAT really well done were the ones appearing in the search generative experience results. And then AI, again, really making sure that you use it to help in generating content. And then conclusions. I think this is a key thing. If you take nothing else away from this, like creating a process and having that in place, knowing how you're doing everything from the keyword research, so you're looking at competitor analysis, having a really precise process will really help. And then develop your knowledge in things like LSI, NLP, especially if you have content writers. Make sure you pay for them to get educated in this, and it will help in the long term with your SEO efforts. Expertise and authority, and then embrace AI. So the last few bits of that may be slightly rushed, but if there's any questions, please find me, and I'll be happy to help. So have a good one. Thank you very much.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.